Hello and welcome. Let's check out this Jet JS480. We're going to check out the specs, listen to some tones, we're going to test it out at a gig and talk about the price and stuff like that. Guitar review stuff. Speaking of which, Jet sent me this guitar for review, but it's not a sponsored video. I'm not being paid for it. I don't get to keep the guitar, I've got to send it back. Actually, I've had it for quite a while. I should probably send it back quite soon. Sorry, Jet. Right, so let's check out the specs. So, we've got a roasted poplar body. Now this was a new one for me, and I was curious about why they went with this wood choice. So, I asked Jet, and they said the poplar was chosen for its tone, and the roasting is more for resonance and stability. And they say it's a bit lighter than some other wood options. Speaking of the weight, it's actually 7.4 pounds, which is ideal for me, although it feels kind of lighter. But I did have a can of spinach the other day, so maybe I just got like really strong recently. Now, I'm absolutely loving this finish. They're calling it wine red, and it's actually got a nice bit of metallic through it too. Now, I'm not usually into red guitars, but this has definitely grown on me. It's got all the contours in the right places, including one of my favourite features of the Jet guitars is this neck heel carve that they've got on a few of their models. One of the best on the market in my opinion, and it's also got this little spoon carve out the bottom horn too, which people love to argue about. Personally, I like it. I don't know if it really offers much more access or comfort, but it does take away some mass, which contributes to a more lightweight guitar overall, so I'm all for that. The neck. Now for me, Jet do the best necks in the game, pretty much at any price. It's just the specs that fit my hand perfectly. It's the modern C-shape, 9.5 inch radius, rolled fretboard edges which they don't even advertise, 22 frets on a Canadian roasted maple neck. It's pretty much like a Fender player neck, but with good fretwork. And on this one, we've also got a real rosewood fretboard. Now personally, I'm not a fan of rosewood fretboards, but a lot of people are, and a lot of people are asking for rosewood fretboards on Jet guitars. Jet listened, and there you go. Now, I'm sorry to say, it's not all strats and roses with this guitar. It's not perfect, and it's got a wee problem that we need to talk about. The trem. Now, this is a new unit that Jet have put their name on, literally, and it does have a couple of issues. First, it's a push-in trem arm, but it's actually very hard to push in, and it requires quite a lot of force. And once you do get it in, it requires even more force to get it out. And yes, I did adjust the grub screw at the back of the trem block. I even removed it completely and it didn't make any difference. Then there's the tuning stability. Now, I did the unboxing video with this guitar a couple of months ago, and I must have got really lucky because I used the trem briefly there and it managed to stay in tune. But since then, I've not been able to get it to stay in tune at all with any kind of light trem use. And it's very unlikely to be the nut, because this nut looks cut really well, and historically Jet do a really good job at cutting nuts. That's been my experience with all the Jets that I've tried, which is a lot, although this isn't the best string tree. But Elmo Karl, I think that's right, also reviewed one of these on his channel recently, and he had a similar tuning issue. He goes into more detail about the problem that he had with his, and he even had his tech look at it. They think it could be that the knife edge is not sharp enough, so it's not sitting correctly into position. So I end up with two tunings that can't be reset. A quick wee trem flick tuning reset is something that I'm fairly used to, and even tried to demonstrate it on my Charvel, but annoyingly it just wouldn't go out of tune. It usually does it. It just seems to be when you need to demonstrate it for a video that it doesn't cooperate. Anyway, check out Elmo's video for more on that, link in the description. Now, for balance, it's also worth mentioning that John Cordy tried out the Jet JS480. That's the one with a 6-screw trim, and the tuning stability on that was amazing. It looked like he was trying his hardest to put it out of tune too, but it just wouldn't budge. It was pretty impressive. So, is it gig worthy? Well, I took it to a gig recently and left the trem arm at home, of course. Here's some clips. Apologies in advance for the terrible phone audio. You could barely hear the guitar over the drums, but I'll try and fix it a bit. Now, I planned on only playing this guitar for like 3 or 4 songs at the gig, just to get some clips to make this video, but I ended up playing it for the entire first set and most of the second set too. And the other guitar that I had with me was my #1 super modded Jet JS480. And you can check out a video on that up there if you like. It's my favourite. Now, I think a big part of the reason that I wanted to play this guitar for longer at the gig was these pickups. These pickups are the secret stars of the show. They are so good. They're really good. And it's not just been a case of, let's just chuck some Alnico 5s in here to bump up the spec sheet. I don't know what they've done. These are Jet proprietary pickups, but they sound really good in my opinion. Right up my street. Vintage voiced. I've not measured the readings, but I'm pretty sure they're low output. And before the gig, I even raised the pickup height a little bit because I could tell they're quite a bit weaker than the other pickups that I tested it against. My Jet JS480 and the Harley Benton ST Modern Plus. But yeah, these are definitely more my kind of thing. Love them. And normally with other Jet guitars that I've had, like a couple that I've already modded, I'm always wanting to change the pickups. It's one of my first instincts, but these definitely don't need upgraded. These are pretty special. Worth checking out. So, at around £349, is it worth it? Well, it's got a lot of quite unique features which make it a little bit tricky to do a like-for-like comparison with anything else. like your roasted poplar body and things. But recently I was at the Kenny's Music Vintage and Pre-Owned Roadshow and I came across this used Fender Player FSR Strat that looked kinda similar, red finish, gold hardware, 2-point trem, etc. for £599, used. And that definitely won't have rolled fretboard edges, a roasted maple neck, locking tuners, and I'm guessing the new price for that was probably around £799 for an FSR, that's my guess. So the Jet JS480 compared to that is well worth it in my opinion, even if you factor in upgrading the trem. Then there's obviously resale value if you want to think about that, but is it worth it over my favourite Jet guitars model, the JS400, which you could pick up for under £200 these days? Well, that's where it gets interesting, and I think I'm probably going to do a more full in-depth comparison between these two in the future. So the upcharges here are for the roasted poplar body, the gold hardware, the locking tuners and the pickups. Now if you're a tonewood person, then is roasted poplar really something that's desirable for you over basswood? Personally for me, it doesn't really mean too much, but to be fair, I am pretty much a bit of a tonewood denier sometimes. Depends what mood I'm in. So there you go. The gold hardware, a bit divisive and definitely not my first choice, but I've got to admit, on this guitar, I think the gold looks really good against this wine red metallic finish. And they've went the whole hog with the gold. It's the pickguard screws, the jack plate, strap button, even the pole pieces on the humbucker are gold, so proper attention to detail there. And of course, the gold Jet locking tuners, and I'm a big fan of locking tuners. I've never had a problem with Jet locking tuners, although staggered posts would be nice. The pickups, these get a huge yes from me. I'm a big fan, totally right up my street sound wise. I would not need to upgrade the pickups on this guitar, but you might, if you like more high gain kind of stuff and then you need a bit more output, then maybe you won't like these, but for me, these are almost perfect. They're really good. Okay, so to be asking this price, I've got a few suggestions which would make this one a bit more appealing for me, would make me more likely to pull the trigger. So the obvious first one is to get this trem looked at. You need to get that sorted out. So suggestion would be either go to the Wilkinson unit, the M series that's on the Jet JS450, or go back to the Jet JS400 trem that you used to use that had the MVB stamped saddles. Both those units perform very well and would be an upgrade over this. I don't know if they're all like this, but this one's not too great. Second suggestion would be, how about a better string tree? I love complaining about string trees, but it's such a cheap fix. We could do with a better quality item on here for the upcharging price. Also, how about a Graphtec Tusk XL nut? That'd be nice. Number 3 would be roasted maple fretboard options, please. I'm not a fan of rosewood really, and it's pretty much a deal breaker for me these days. Roasted maple fretboards on Strats, it's got to be. And it's your fault, Jet. You got me addicted to them. And number 4, I think to remain a little bit more competitive at this price point, we need a wee bit more. How about a cheeky wee coil split switch right here for that humbucker? That would be welcomed. And no, not a push-pull pot. Never a push-pull pot on a Strat knob. Never. Alright? So, I've potentially got some comparisons in the works. We could do a shootout with the Jet JS480 and the Harley Benton ST Modern Plus, or we could do the Jet JS480 versus the Jet JS400. I've already filmed the tone comparison clips between these three guitars, so I'll maybe do the videos if there's any appetite for it. So let me know in the comments if that sounds of any interest to you. Speaking of which, what did you think of this one in general? Let me know in the comments. Have you tried a Jet JS400 before and sort of looking at these new ones with the upgrades? What do you think about them? Does it sound worthwhile to you? Let me know. So, if you ever find yourself at a loose end on Thursday nights at 7:30 PM UK, then why don't you come and check out the old live stream? Hammering on about, and then whatever the topic of the week is. Come hang out, it's fun. Whenever you're watching this video, imagine you're watching this video now on a Thursday and it's like 7 o'clock, it's just in half an hour. Come along, we're all chatting, we're talking about you, maybe. Right, if you enjoyed the video and you think you got any useful information out of that, then please do consider subscribing to the channel. We do a lot of stuff like this on the channel here, so yeah, think about it. You might like it, you might not. It's a gamble, consider it carefully. Okay, hitting like, that also helps if you liked it. If you didn't like it, hit dislike, do what you like. Okay, thanks for watching. Until next time, see you later.